Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
The big stories tonight. 1.4 billion Catholics are now pinning their hopes and great expectations on Pope Leo XIV. Will he follow the progressive path his predecessor took, or will he chart a course to cater to the conservatives as well?
Re-electionist Senator Amy Marcos has some choice words again for her brother and his allies in her latest campaign ad. This is perceived as a last-ditch effort to improve her numbers that surveys show is on the decline.
And after that fatal crash over at the NAIA, the DOTR has initiated an urgent safety review of all major air terminals in the country. We talk about this issue and more with Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon when he joins us later in the program.
In one of the swiftest conclaves in the Catholic Church's history, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost emerged as Pope in a little more than 24 hours after voting began. The new Pope, who chose to go by the name Leo XIV, is the first American and Augustinian pontiff in history. He was made cardinal just last year by the late Pope Francis. World leaders have since offered their greetings to Prevost. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian hopes dialogues with the Vatican will continue under Leo XIV's watch. Recall that his predecessor Francis initiated an agreement that allowed the Vatican more control over its bishops in China.
We congratulate Cardinal Robert Prevost on his election as the new Pope. We hope that under the leadership of the new Pope, the Vatican will continue to engage in dialogue with China in a constructive spirit, have in-depth communication on international issues of mutual concern, jointly promote the continuous improvement of relations with China, and contribute to world peace, stability, development, and prosperous development.
For his part, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says he would invite the Pope to the International Eucharistic Congress, which their country is hosting in 2028.
This is a moment which will bring joy and hope to Catholics everywhere. May the papacy of Pope Leo advance the cause of peace and social justice for all humanity.
Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump had posted about Pope Leo XIV, an American bringing great honor to the U.S. Trump is also looking forward to meeting the new Pope. U.S. President J.D. Vance, a Catholic, also wishes for the pontiff's success in leading the church. There was an outpouring of more greetings, including from former U.S. Presidents Barack Obama and Joe Biden, Italy, and leaders of South Africa and Latin American countries. A day after his election, Leo XIV celebrated his first Mass in the Vatican as Pope. Let's bring in someone who witnessed a lot of historic moments the past several days. News 5's Mon Gualvez is still in the Vatican and he reports to us live. Mon?
Hi, Ces. People here in the Vatican still in high spirit after Pope Leo XIV was elected as the 267th Pope of the Catholic Church. But yesterday, time seems to stop here in the Vatican when white smoke suddenly billowed from the Sistine Chapel's chimney, which signified that the Catholic Church finally has a new Pope.
People suddenly rushed into St. Peter's Square on the second day of the conclave. They were caught by surprise when the chimney at Sistine Chapel suddenly emitted white smoke. Some of those who were not able to secure spots in front of the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica huddled around white screens installed around Vatican City. Austrian Daniel Uba and his family were in the thick crowd. They were just touring Rome when they chanced upon this historical moment.
This is the first time and maybe the last time in my life that I will realize and see this in life. The feelings here, absolute, unbelievable. I pray for my family and for my daughter Magdalena.
Andres, who's from Mexico, says they're after the first apostolic blessing from the newly minted Pope Leo XIV.
For my sins to be forgiven, and for blessings for me, blessings for my family.
Meanwhile, some Filipinos in the area turn to their binoculars to get a better view.
Yung white smoke nung nakita namin sa internet, nasa train pa kami. So sulit yung takbo namin from the station.
Merly said she can relate to the Holy Father, who she said seemed to have this early managed to connect to the Catholic faithful.
Maamo ang kanyang mukha, the way I look at him, and he looks like he's a very humble priest. I don't understand Italian, but I've heard the name of Jesus Christ proclaimed so many times, and that is good.
Merly also lived in the U.S. for 50 years. On the last day of her Vatican pilgrimage, she is likewise pleased that the new pontiff is an American, the first in history.
You know, I don't know him personally, but I am praying for him that he's going to put the name of Jesus in every heart, you know, in every mind, because we need Jesus in these difficult times.
Right now, says people are coming over here at the St. Peter's Basilica. Some of them are pilgrims still. At gusto talaga nila makita itong St. Peter's Basilica at makapagpa-picture. But just now, this morning, Pope Leo XIV had his first Mass together with the College of Cardinals as a thanksgiving for them. And then we just don't have an idea kung kailan yung pinaka-inaugural Mass ni Pope Leo XIV dahil wala pa ditong pinaka-detalye. Pero according to tradition, it happened always within the week on his at least yung pagkaka-elect, no, as the Pope. And yan yung inaabangan, probably by Sunday, possible na yan yung inaugural Mass, bagamat wala pang final schedule. Pero kung titignan at susundin yung dating nangyari kay Pope Francis at saka kay Pope Benedict XVI, ganun yung nangyari. Within the week, on a Sunday ng araw na yon, doon ginawa yung kanyang inaugural Mass. Says.
Well, Mon, this Mass wasn't open to the public.
This Mass, together with the College of Cardinals, ay hindi open sa public. No, yung inaugural Mass, yung first Mass niya together with the public, yun yung inaabangan ng lahat kasi hindi lang siya open to public but also invited dyan yung mga leaders of different states and nations.
Where were you exactly, Mon, when the white smoke came out of the chimney of the Sistine Chapel?
I am actually right here in Via de la Conciliazione. No, here, ito. Ito yon, itong kalsada na ito. Medyo mahaba ito towards St. Peter's Basilica, pero punong-puno itong kalsadang ito ng mga Katoliko na nagsipuntahan, no, nagtakbuhan dito. Dahil nga, we are not expecting that the smoke will billowed out from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel during that time. Dahil nga, in-expect namin baka 7 o'clock na ng gabi. Pero before 6 in the evening, may lumabas na usok which happened to be white. Kaya naman talagang punong-puno ito ng mga tao. Hinaharang na siya actually ng mga officials dito kasi nga, dudumugin bigla yung St. Peter's Basilica. So, malayo tayo, sayang, ng konti doon sa pinaka-balcony ng St. Peter's Basilica. Pero the feeling, the spirit is still within dito sa St. Peter's Square. Talagang ramdam na ramdam pa rin naman.
Mon, sariwain mo nga yung pakiramdam because iba ang pakiramdam na kasama mo ang ewan ko, isang damakmak na tao, di ba, na a collective feeling of happiness, joy, shock. Ano ba yung mga naramdaman ninyo?
Tama ka dyan, Ses, no? It's a mixed emotion, mixed emotional or feelings talaga nung time na yon. Unexplainable yung happiness, lalo yung naggagawa din apostolic blessing. Some are emotional, especially kahit nga ako, no, medyo parang nanginginig-ginig yung luha ko that time. I don't know why, pero may parang some spirit na talagang humihipo when you are here together with all the crowd na talagang nagdadasal, nakikinig, at talagang very hopeful, happy, and excited for the new leader of the Catholic Church.
I'm curious, no, meron bang mga usap-usapan dyan or plano? Maybe they announce kung iikot ba yung bagong Santo Papa para ma-bless yung mga nag-aabang dyan?
Well, wala pang specific schedule, pero ang ilang mga nabanggit lang sa amin, there will be an inaugural mass that will be open to the public. After nun ay magkakaroon din ng mass for the media personnel who covered this conclave. Sana invited kami doon. Pero hindi pa namin alam, no? Kasi nga, dadaan pa siya sa process ng Holy See Press Office. And then, yung tungkol sa pag-ikot sa area, wala pa. Pero most probably magkakaroon din yan, Sean. Kasi nga, batang-bata pa itong Santo Papa, no? At saka he can speak different languages, no? Madali siyang makaka-connect din lalo sa mga state leaders, sa mga ordinary people. So yun din mga inaabangan pati yung kanyang pakikipagharap dito sa St. Peter's Square. Usually merong merong encounter with Pope.
Okay, Mon, I like you with your 6 o'clock, pero siguro pwede ka na mag-shave dahil wala na masyadong vigil ngayon. Maraming salamat, Mon Gualvez, reporting to us live from the Vatican. And before he became Pope, former Robert Cardinal Prevost was a frequent visitor to the Philippines. His trips were in line with his being Prior General of the Order of St. Augustine from 2001 to 2013. Let's get to know more from Fray Peter Casino, OSA, or Prior of the Seminario San Agustin. Magandang gabi po sa inyo and welcome to the Big Story.
Mother, papunta po tayo, Mother.
All right, I don't think we have the line yet. Father, can you hear us?
Mother Peter.
Okay, in the meantime, well, apparently he's been here like,
A lot of times,
Yeah.
especially in Cebu.
yes.
Yeah.
I like that photo of him with one of our...
With the pale pills.
Yes, with the pale pills. Okay, I think we are joined by Father now. Not yet. Okay.
But yeah, where were you last night? I know Pawi was doing the live coverage. At home. We were at home.
Yes, we were at home. My TV was on, but I think I fell asleep before
12.
Before 12.
It was just a
yes.
few minutes after 12. So
I was so
quite
shocked. There were seagulls right before the
Yes.
smoke came out of the
Yes.
church.
Those seagulls were really entertaining.
Yes,
right?
they were. And you tend to put meaning into these things, right? So, the seagull, mommy seagull was feeding the baby seagull, and then lumipad sila kasi dumami na yung usok.
yeah.
But again, like when we found out, Google agad ako, may Wikipedia agad, Pope Leo, wala pang laman. And then yung Robert Prevost na Wikipedia page, nag-redirect agad sa bagong Pope Leo the 14th na wala pang laman. But syempre, he was, in fact, one of the front runners naman talaga.
He wasn't in
He
the
wasn't
top.
mentioned.
Top,
He
pero
wasn't-
he
yeah.
made the lists.
Yes, he was, but not much attention was given him actually.
Right.
So when you think about it, the pundits got it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so did yung mga nag-odds, may mga betting
Yeah,
Tama.
right? So I don't know if any of them won, but if there's anything that we learned here, when you talk about the conclave, it's really such a secretive process, and the front runners, the papabiles that are often talked about, aren't necessarily automatically the ones who will be the next pontiff, right? But there was actually some who got it right. There was this article,
Yes.
an American journalist who said that Cardinal Prevost might be the next pontiff. Even a Filipino journalist, they had him on StoryCon earlier.
Yes, I think he's with the UST, so he's
Yes.
one of the professors, I believe, in UST. And he got it right, and he explained in StoryCon kanina kung bakit naisip niya na possible nga.
You know what they're saying, that the new Pope owes it to President Trump.
I don't know about that, but
No, because he's seen as someone who may be able to balance, the right-leaning Catholic camp in the U.S.
That's right. He's a happy middle,
Yeah.
right? Happy middle.
okay. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up here on the Big Story, we speak to Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon on his agency's plans to ramp up safety on roads and other public spaces following a series of fatal accidents. The Big Story returns in a bit. Keep it here.
Welcome back to the big story. The Department of Transportation has initiated an urgent safety review of all major air terminals in the country. This is on the back of last Sunday's accident at the passenger drop-off area of NAIA Terminal 1. Recall that an SUV crashed into the crowd in the airport, killing 2 people, including a 5-year-old child. The ramming incident also raised concerns about the bollards or protective barriers around the terminal, which failed to stop the vehicle from hitting people. All these will be part of the DOTR safety review, covering other NAIA structures to improve passenger safety and traffic management. And back on the show tonight is DOTR Chief Vince Dizon. Secretary, good evening. Welcome to the big story. How extensive is the safety review of our airports, and who will shoulder the cost of this?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening, Seth and everyone. So we're doing a comprehensive review of our airports based on the President's directive to, especially in light of the recent events, very tragic events in NAIA, and also on our roads, doing a sweeping review of all our airports and of all of our roads. So I was at NAIA today again, this morning, and I was in Cebu, Mactan yesterday. Tomorrow I'm going to Clark International Airport. Just looking at the protocols and the infrastructure in place, to make sure that we prevent anything like this from ever happening again. Sadly, it had to take something as tragic as this to do this and to do these sweeping reviews, but we have to do it now to avoid any other further incidents like this. So today I was at NAIA. The traffic management has already changed in NAIA 1 and NAIA 2, where you used to have this. I can see it on the screen, your screen. We used to have this semi-diagonal perpendicular drop-off system in NAIA 1 and NAIA 2. Now, as we saw this morning, it is now similar to NAIA 3, where it is in parallel. So this minimizes the risk of another incident similar to the one last Sunday. There's also an ongoing investigation into the integrity of the safety structures there, including the bollards that are aimed to protect the passengers as well as the terminal building from incidents like this. So San Miguel San Miguel Corporation, the operator of NAIA, will replace these bollards. But at the same time, I've also asked them to do an independent review of these installations. So we should be having that in the next couple of weeks. I checked the similar bollards in Mactan, Cebu yesterday, as well as the traffic management in Mactan, Cebu. Thankfully, the traffic management is safer. But the bollards, I've asked them to also give us a review and a stress test of this and of these. And then tomorrow I will go to Clark International Airport to look at that as well.
So, Secretary, will all these bollards be replaced? I mean, just taking a look at that incident, that accident, clearly it did not stop the vehicle. So is it possible that instead of just taking a look at them, assessing, they will be replaced already?
They will be replaced for NAIA Terminal 1. And San Miguel Corporation has already committed to do that. They've already started looking at replacements for these bollards. The assessment of Terminal 3 and Terminal 2 are ongoing. So we will have to wait for that from both the Manila International Airport Authority, the government agency in charge of NAIA, as well as the operator, which is San Miguel Corporation.
Secretary, moving away from the bollards, we know those failed, but it would seem like also the SC-TEX crash, as well as the NAIA accident, that was a driver error. On that end, we've heard about the initiatives that you've been pushing, but everybody's been asking really how sustainable is this lasting change that we want to implement?
The task force that we created April 21, the Monday after Easter, was instructed to submit within a week from last Monday, a sweeping set of changes to the roadworthiness tests and checks that we have for our vehicles, especially our public utility vehicles and our trucks, as well as the sweeping changes in how we issue and ensure driver quality when we issue driver's licenses, especially again driver's licenses issued to public utility vehicle drivers, or what we call professional drivers. Most people like you and me where we have non-professional driver's licenses because we just drive for ourselves. However, if you're a professional driver, it requires a much higher standard of capability, and also a much higher standard of driver capacity. So we need to revisit that, especially for the professional drivers.
Well, Secretary, you've only been a few months in your office, but what have you found in terms of issues like corruption and drugs in following safety standards? How rampant are they?
Well, I mean, just to give you statistics and facts, we called for that task force for road safety simply because during Holy Week, almost 100 drivers of public utility vehicles tested positive for drugs. 100. No, that's not a small number. And each of those could have been an accident waiting to happen. If drivers are under the influence of drugs. So this is really very serious. Plus, added to that, the number of accidents during Holy Week, and on top of that, the two major road accidents just last week. The one in SETEX on May 1st, and the NAIA tragedy on May 4th. So all of this, I think, are clear signs that things are not working, and things are the system has really failed us as both as commuters, as drivers, and as people who use our roads every day. There's really this feeling of anxiety every time we start applying the roads. Every time we leave our homes and we start going on our roads, there is this feeling of anxiety. There is no feeling of safety on our roads. We don't feel safe on our roads.
Secretary,
And this is, I think, yes.
Yes, I'd like to ask you, because the Philippines has a very low consciousness on safety.
Yes.
And this is probably long term, but what can we do to make our countrymen more conscious about safety?
Well, I think it needs to start with the regulatory environment says. I mean, let's just call a spade, right? I mean, we've all gone through, for example, driver's license tests and getting our driver's license. And to be quite frank, it's really a joke, right? I mean, people don't even take actual tests. There was a story about a group of people who were going to take a test or a seminar for LTO, and the LTO personnel asked them for money. And when the people paid, some people didn't pay, but since most of them paid, then they ended up just watching an NBA game. So it's really a joke, to be quite frank. And this has to change. And we all know how notorious the land transportation is for allowing fixers to operate. Where, I showed a Facebook page which had an LTO logo, and it was offering essentially for 1,500 pesos or 2,000 pesos. It was offering a license where you didn't have to take a test, or you didn't even have to appear, and things like that. So I mean, that needs to change. That needs to be cracked. We need to crack down on that, and that was my instruction to the task force, which includes LTO and LTFRB. And it's not rocket science. No? We can just look at other countries, how they do it. I mean, these are real tests, especially for professional drivers. Says, no, like if you go to the US or Europe, you see the drivers of trucks or buses. They are really well trained. And apart from that, they are also well paid. They're also well compensated. No, because it's no joke. I think it was James Deacon who said, you know, a truck or a bus in the hands of a untrained or a unqualified driver is it's really a weapon of mass destruction. Because if a truck hits any of these small cars or these motorcycles on the road, I mean, people are going to die. So that really needs to change.
We're glad to hear that you'll crack the whip. Yeah, it's about time.
If we can move on to another topic, Secretary, supposedly that EDSA rehab is going to happen after the elections, which is already on Monday. So, tuloy ba?
Tuloy, Sean. No? Tuloy ang EDSA rehab. It's just that DPWH is just really trying to put everything in order before we start on this really huge task of overhauling EDSA. It's no joke. It's no joke on what the president wants us to do, and DPWH is just making doubly sure that it will be done properly with the least possible effect on our motorists and our commuters. So maybe we should just wait a little bit. Probably there will be some delays, but to be quite frank, I don't know the timeline as of yet. I just heard an announcement it was going to be May 15th. But since that's next week, maybe there's a few more weeks of delay, most likely. But we will be announcing this once the DPWH is ready.
And one last thing on the PUV modernization program, it would seem the ball is rolling once again. I was asking the LTFRB spokesperson last night, I believe, ano ba yung sinabi ni Secretary Vince para ma-turn around yung sitwasyon, and mukhang mas willing sila ngayon mag-consolidate. How did that conversation go?
I think the major problem of the modernization program, Sean, again, to be quite frank, is medyo namadali siya ng konti. No? I know it's already been, I think, 6 years already or even more. But I think there are basic things that need to be addressed that are actually causing a lot of the problems now. And the main problem now is for those who have consolidated and have modernized, have bought these new jeepneys that are frankly quite expensive, a lot more expensive than the traditional jeepneys, is that they are, at this point in time, most of them are unable to pay for the loans that they've taken out to purchase these new modern public utility vehicles. And that is a big problem because if you are unable to pay your debts, that means that the economic viability of the program is one thing. Medyo may problema tayo sa economics. No? And pag may problema tayo sa economics, malaking problema yan. No? Hindi natin maaasahan, hindi natin may expect ang ating mga operators at drivers na pumasok sa isang programa na posibleng malugi pa sila. No? So that is what really needs to be addressed. So in the meantime, we have reopened what was originally closed. The modernization was closed in April of 2024. We have reopened that to allow operators who were not able to consolidate yet some time to consolidate either by themselves or to join existing cooperatives and corporations that are already in place.
But Secretary, the guidelines still have to be hashed out. So
Absolutely.
When do we expect that to, how long will that take?
So that's being worked out now. There are a lot of things that need to be fixed, including the existing loans that have already been taken out, especially from our government financial institutions, the Land Bank and the DBP. That needs to be addressed. There are a lot of suggestions already coming from various sectors that the task force, the committee is putting together. But in the meantime, we have reopened I signed a department order last Monday that essentially reopens the modernization program and allows those that were not able to join to register their vehicles first and foremost, only if, of course, they are roadworthy. That is very important qualification there. Kailangan roadworthy yung mga sasakyan na i-register nila para naman makabiyahe sila ulit.
So, we take it to understand, kasi the last time we talked about this, yung issue na pinopoint out mo na ayaw ng mga driver or what's keeping them from consolidating is yung mawawala yung prangkisa. But sabi nga ng LTFRB is pwede na raw yung co-op / yung pangalan.
Yes,
Was that one
yes.
of the concessions you made?
Yes, that's one of the reforms that's being done, and that will be formalized by the committee when they submit their full recommendation. Because it's there's so many problems, and there's no silver bullet here. You gotta really pick all of those problems and find solutions for each. And like you said, that is one solution that has come out that is, I think, acceptable to most, if not all, the operators and the groups.
Are you not in talks with the private sector to give, options to the jeepneys for their, or associations for their modern vehicles?
That's a
Hindi
very,
ba
very
pwedeng
good point.
PPP, something like that?
JV?
That's a very good point, Seth. One of the things we're looking at right now is we want to open the market up because the supply of the modern vehicles is limited because there are not a lot of these so-called accredited suppliers of these modern vehicles that you see on the screen right now. What we're trying to do, and we've discussed this with both the automotive associations, the car dealers, and we want to open this up to more suppliers. Like for example, there's no reason why a Toyota cannot sell a modern vehicle to a operator, to a corporate, or other brands. So that was initially not allowed. But this is one of the reforms that we're trying to do. The more suppliers there are, I think the better for everyone because it will entice competition, prices will go down, and at the same time, we will be assured of supply of parts because a lot of the problems that we heard in our consultations was that some of these suppliers, their vehicles would break down after a couple of months and they would not have the spare parts or the services to repair these vehicles. So that was a prevailing problem. That is a prevailing problem right now. So opening up to the market will greatly help that.
Well, you also mentioned financing. The fact that we're already talking about financing, I think, means na nag-move forward na to kahit paano, Secretary. How would that work? Kasi before it was Land Bank, DBP, am I correct?
Yeah.
Doon lang
Correct.
pero it could be limiting.
Exactly. It is limiting, and it exposes a lot of risk for our two financial institutions, which they are bearing right now, unfortunately. But again, if you open up to the market, say, if a car dealer, let's say, whatever brand that is, usually those car dealers come with in-house financing or even leasing options. So this opens up a lot of options, which will really unburden and reduce the risks for both our operators, our drivers, as well as the financial community that wants to help in provide financing for the modernization program.
And finally, Secretary, there was just a few days ago, there was a manufacturing plant opened in Batangas. It says it's capable of producing about 500 units of affordable e-jeepneys. Yes. Is it possible that the DOTR or the LTFRB would be partnering with plants such as those?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, our representatives were there. Unfortunately, I was actually going to go there, but I couldn't because of all the things that were happening here in Manila. It's actually the plant led by former Ilocos Sur Governor Chavit Singson. And it's really, and here, that's actually our Undersecretary for Road, Undersecretary Reyes. And it's really a modern plant. And the units are actually all made here in the Philippines, and they will be serviced here. There are spare parts for these units, and they are actually quite cheap, and cheaper than the units that were previously sold to the cooperatives and the operators. So these initiatives of former Governor Chavit Singson are so welcome, and we want more of these.
All right. Thank you so much for talking to us again. DOTR Secretary Vince Dizon. Don't forget, EDSA Rehab. I'm sorry, we're so makulit, but that is one of the pet topics of the big story.
Opo. We'll let you know right away and keep safe on our roads, especially for the election.
Thank you, Secretary. Have a good evening.
Now in other news, Bayan Muna leads the filing of a complaint before Malacanang to cancel all agreements between Villar-owned Prime Water and local water districts, citing numerous violations. The Makabayan Group and some affected customers accused Prime Water of violating the Constitution due to frequent water interruptions, poor water quality, and high costs. The complaint noted that in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, rates increased from 280 pesos to nearly 500 pesos for the first 10 cubic meters of consumption. Bayan Muna appeals to the president to rescind Prime Water's joint venture agreements and order an investigation into the deals. For the past month, netizens exposed the supposed suffering they have endured with Prime Water, which is serving areas like Bacolod City, Cavite, Quezon Province, and Bukidnon. President Marcos already ordered a probe on Prime Water, which the Villar-owned firm said is an opportunity to resolve concerns.
We're going to pause for another quick break, but when we return, just several hours more to go before the official end of the campaign period, and we have the last hurrah of the administration slate and the president's sister running for re-election. Keep it here on One News.
Big Story is back with re-electionist Senator Amy Marcos taking another pot shot at her brother President Bongbong Marcos and his allies. Here's part of her latest campaign ad that circulated on social media platforms a few hours ago.
Ang gobyerno ngayon ay hindi Marcos. Ang gobyerno ngayon ay Romualdez at Araneta. Payo ni VP, magpalit na raw ako ng apelyido. Sagot ko, Inday, hindi ko kailangan magpalit ng apelyido. Marcos ako. I'm me. Ako ay ako. Ako ay si Amy Marcos. At kapag Marcos ka, hindi ka makikipag-alyansa sa mga politikong nagbintang, nagdiin, at umapi sa iyong pamilya. Hindi mo kakainin ang isinuka mo para lamang sa politika. Hindi ganyan ang legasiya ng aking ama.
For One News political pundit Ronald Llamas, this new campaign ad of Senator Marcos is more compelling than her so-called itim video with Vice President Sara Duterte. Even so, Llamas says creating a new message in the last few weeks or days before the elections rarely makes a difference in any last-ditch effort to save a fledgling campaign. For him, this could hurt rather than help Amy's bid to stay in the Senate.
Ang dominant ngayon is machinery, no? Clinching yung mga boto ng mga governors sa mga primate corridor, sample ballots. Hindi na yung mapapansin ng tao eh. Hindi na yung mapapansin.
Compelling but too late.
Yeah. Kumpara sa iba.
Meantime, it's the final stretch of the campaign as well for President Marcos's alyansa para sa bagong Pilipinas. From the chief executive's hometown of Lawag, Ilocos Norte, the administration team is taking their campaign to Mandaluyong. A portion of 9 de Febrero Street was closed for tonight's rally, which will be attended by the president himself and his senatorial bets. Mandaluyong is the bailiwick of alyansa candidate Benhur Abalos. In all, Alyansa was able to hold 16 out of its planned 21 rallies, with just one staged in Mindanao.
Itong nangyari na ginawa, nag-adapt ito doon sa bagong sistema, which is lahat ng rally covered, not only ng mainstream media, but particularly the social media. At may live streaming, merong playback, pwedeng mapanood sa YouTube. So, ang reach ng ngayon, mas malawak. So, kahit 16 lang siya, mas malawak ang naging reach niya kesa sa mga style nung araw.
Alam mo, tuwing maalala ko yung suportang binigay sa amin ng Pangulong Marcos, kinikilabutan ako. I'm having goosebumps. No? Because talagang totohanan at talagang unequivocal yung kanyang suporta sa slate.
For our big picture tonight, we circle back to tonight's big story. What else but the new leader of the Catholic Church? So it turns out that the newly minted Pope has been in the Philippines on numerous occasions. We mentioned this earlier, but when Leo XIV was a mere Father Robert Prevost, he blessed the friary of Santo Niño de Cebu Parish in Talisay City back in 2004. At the time, Prevost was the prior general of the Augustinians. This religious order was first to evangelize the Philippines way back in the 16th century, planting the seeds of faith in Cebu, which is the cradle of Christianity in the country. In 2008, Prevost shared a fraternal meal with former Manila Archbishop Gaudencio Cardinal Rosales. He also led the opening of the Professorium House Chapel inside the San Agustin Monastery in Intramuros. And here, this photo, Prevost in 2010 with Augustinian priests at the La Consolacion University in Malolos, Bulacan.
Well, hopefully Pope Leo XIV makes another stop here in the Philippines, this time as the new pontiff.
And this time, the whole country will know and make a bow.
Yes.
That's so exciting.
Also not in better circumstances than when Pope Francis visited back in 2015.
Right. You know, one other thing I found on social media about the new Pope, he plays the saxophone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I should have sent that photo to our group chat.
He plays Wordle or Words with Friends, which he also does.
Which he also
with his
does. I want to compete with him.
Try to look for him. Maybe he changed his name. Just a thought.
That's gonna be hard against a polyglot, right? Because he knows so many.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's true.
Okay.
All right, it is a Friday TGIF. That's it for the big story this week.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thank you for watching. Good night and have a great weekend.